and a Titania, gloriously sung by Pilla Lorengar.
The flowers are bursting forth with colors. And, you know, one of our listeners has sent a question in, sort of having to deal with this. Gertjan Svikelaar, and I want her to appreciate my Dutch pronunciation of her name, oddly of Red Deer, Alberta, listens to us on CBC2, and she asks how we maintain the stamina we need to be an opera singer, and that, I think, encompasses dealing with health issues. Do we exercise, take vitamins, and how do you deal with sickness and pollen and allergies? Is anybody else at this table suffering allergies besides me right now? Diana?
Nope. But I had a bad cold, so I'm still in recovery.
Well, how do you deal with that? I mean, when you're in rehearsals, do you know when you're sick, when you feel a cold coming on, do you take to your bed and have the chicken soup and the hot tea and the lemon? I don't know if these are all German remedies as we have over here, but what do you do, or do you just sort of power through it?
No. I mean, well, when it's too late, it was too late on my last performance in Vienna when I had to sing Zabinetta, and I already had this tickling in my throat. Well, after that performance, I was ill for 3 weeks, and no chicken soup helped. And but now I'm coming back again, and I'm fine. And because I don't have allergies, I took now my rollerblades and went through Central Park.
So you're immune
to get back to health and to strength, at least the body. The voice will come a little bit later.
Well, you sound pretty healthy to us.
Thank
Ramón, how are you dealing with it?
But I have some allergies, and depends for the period and for the timing from the year. Sometimes 1 year is darker, or sometimes your body react in one way, sometimes in another. This year for me is not bad. This year for me is not bad. But of course, the problem with the colds and these things is a big deal. And
well,
sometimes
you and Matthew both have children. I mean, do you catch every germ that they bring into the house? I mean, or as a parent, are you immune?
Well, you hope not to, of course, but I mean, sometimes you just can't stop it. Although I have to say, usually if I am starting to get sick, or the moment that I think I have something, I always take Airborne, which is this terrific thing, and usually
this is not a paid endorsement.
That's right. I don't know the lady who makes it or the company either, but anyway, but you know, I have to say, I'm usually able to keep something from coming if I start immediately, and you know, and I don't know, chicken soup doesn't work for me either, actually. Tastes good. I mean, I like it, but yeah, that's right.
I was sick for a concert I was supposed to do earlier in the year, and the 2 days before the concert, I received a gallon of chicken soup from one of our most famous Jewish delicatessens in town, from the presenter of the concert, in hopes that it would get me well in time for the concert.
And?
Well, I ate the whole thing, but it didn't make me get well, but I enjoyed every minute of it. What about things like, do you have any superstitions or rituals that you engage in before a performance? Do you have to wear a certain pair of socks underneath in your costume or anything like that?
Me, no superstitions. And no food, you know, a lot of people say you can't have milk or yogurt. I would have yogurt right before I sang. I mean, it doesn't do anything to me.
And you don't have to clear your throat throughout the whole first act?
No.
And what about what's the strangest vocal warm-up exercise that you do?
And we want to
hear it. Ramón, demonstrating to warm up your voice before every show, what's the weirdest sounding thing that you do?
oh my God, do you really want to hear that?
Yeah, we want to hear it.
Oh my God.
I do that. I do a few minutes like
This is Rodolfo.
This is Rodolfo. Titus is a little bit different. I do something like that, really.
What about you, Diana? You have to sing high Q sharps all the time. How do you get your voice up there?
Well, this is a radio program. I do the splits.
Demonstrate it for our radio audience.
No.
Wow, that's incredible, isn't it? And she just added a backflip, too. It was amazing.
Perhaps next
Anything
season
vocal?
you'll come back and we'll podcast it for you.
Oh, terrific.
Done. Anything vocal?
Well, I do something like to test, but I haven't sung for a while, so I don't know if it will really reach
Try.
where I have
Just
to go.
aim it.
I do. This it's embarrassing.
I had a dog once.
Yes, I can play the dog too.
That's so sweet. Reminds me of my puppy. Matthew, what about you?
Yeah, I can't think of anything nearly as crazy as those things. Well, sometimes, just for placement, you might maybe something like, yeah, like this maybe, but yeah. What about you, though?
Oh, well, I just do mostly the motorboat thing. And, it's the closest I'll ever come to having a motorcycle, so, that's kind of what I go for. But in today's opera, Satyagraha, which our distinguished List Hall audience has been listening to, we have an iconic historical figure as the lead character, unlike most of the operas that the rest of us sing. Usually the audience doesn't know anything about the characters that we play. So when you're starting to discover a character, do you invent any kind of backstory? So, things that aren't in the libretto, but that maybe just for your own ability to build the character or to color or shade the character, invent what the character was doing 10 minutes before the curtain went up or 10 years before the curtain went up, either in the roles that you're doing now or some of your other favorite roles. Diana? What is Serbinetta's back life like, for instance? Since we've done Ariadne together, I always wondered what was going on in your Serbinetta's mind, because she's a fireball.
It's a pure soprano.
A what?
She's a pure soprano, Servinetta.
And that says a tenor. No.
Or Lucia, or the
Well,
roles
Lucia, that's actually really, really interesting. As I'm going to have to learn this role very quickly when I jump in October with the role debut here in New York.
Here at the Metropolitan Opera.
Yeah. So I was wondering, her mother was dead. How was the connection with her mother? Is there some madness already there? I mean, from birth, in her blood, in her family, and I actually talked to some doctors, some psychiatrists about the case Lucia and how she could murder someone, because I think there's also aggressivity. Well, she was I think she is aggressive, and how the connection is to her brother. I mean, these are all thoughts which you do preparing a role, but actually then on stage, I don't know. This comes up. Maybe when I see then as Lucia, my brother, I think they are both strong, and so I think she wants to resist, but she can't, because I think she has the same power as her brother, but because she's a woman and she has to save the family and love and woo-woo and all these things, she fights it, and I think there'll be emotional special moments.
And sometimes it does come out in a performance, and sometimes it just lives in our head and might color the way we even say one phrase or something like that, yeah? The director might see something and bring it out in us. Matthew, what do you think about, for instance, in an opera that we're going to be performing together next season here at the Met in Don Giovanni, you sing Don Ottavio.
Oh, right.
Now, what's his past life like? What's Don Ottavio's backstory?
The trouble is, and this is an interesting point, because sometimes you're able to let your past, show your past to the audience. Lucia, everything she does is colored by what has gone on in her life, and or like I think of Alfredo, who has this massive problem with his father, but you don't get to see it really. I mean, they barely are on the stage together, so that has to color what goes on. But like Ottavio, he's a man of action who doesn't do anything in the entire opera. It's not his fault. I mean, he apparently he's just not able to
at
run
every turn.
That's right. Well, in a way,
He was too formal.
Say it again.
He was too formal.
Yeah, he was too formal.
Absolutely too formal.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, yeah, he was raised in a moneyed household with every sort of thing that was possible for him in his
Privilege
life.
and luxury.
Yeah, exactly. And so decorum keeps him from running Giovanni through at his first sight. More, he'd rather pistols at dawn. That's so. I mean, like, you don't really get to see. He is a man of action. And he's a strong character who often comes off wimpy because he doesn't actually kill off Giovanni when he has the chance.
But see, you're right. We often don't see that strength in him. But if you have all that going on in your head, I think it colors your physicality and the way that you come into,
Yeah.
into the mindset of the
Yeah,
character, don't
absolutely.
you think?
Yeah.
Ramon, how do you feel about for instance, Tito?
But it is very complicated personality. We can speak about Tito, I think.
Well, he is the
all
emperor of
program.
Rome.
No, it's. I always am thinking, and I ask myself, what really Tito wanted. He wanted to pass in the history as really this pity character, or he was so sober to look in always the acceptation of the people, or maybe he was very weak, and he needs the
approval,
people, the approval for all the people. It's complicated.
You have so many choices, don't you?
Are too many. Are too many, and for the premiere I have to decide one of them.
Well, no, but sometimes that works though, because when you're in a performance, you may feel one way that's completely different from some of the others. You may make a different choice.
And
Or maybe he's a
that's the fun
combination
part.
of
Yeah.
these things.
Now, in addition to creating these backstories, of course, costumes play an enormous part in how we physicalize a character. And, for instance, one summer I had a summer at the Santa Fe Opera where I was doing two operas at the same time, Così fan tutti and Ariadne auf Naxos. So one night I was Dorabella, and the next night I was the composer. And sometimes I would get the physicality almost mixed up and sort of go striding on stage in my boyish way while wearing a hoop skirt as Dorabella. Now that's a problem. But the costume can definitely define and help us move differently, and even the way that we think about a character. But the real question here that we've been sent is, has anybody ever had a wardrobe malfunction? Yes, feel free. Wardrobe malfunction, something...
When it falls
Who's
off.
going to explain this one to him? The seam rips, or you lose a cape, or you lose a
Oh yeah.
strap. Yeah? Something has happened to you, or?
Yes. One day I was making Lucia,
Yeah.
and my sword. I don't know. They put it in the opposite way. Something. And the sword stays there.
Oh, no.
And I tried to take, and I couldn't. I was. And then I put all my
Strength.
my strength. I put, and the fodder is gone through the. And thanks God was in the orchestra, but nobody was between the violinists. Oh, that was scary. I was scared.
Deanna, have you ever had a wardrobe malfunction?
Oh, well, yes.
With all of the
several.
saucy characters that you play, I could think it could go in a very bad direction very quickly.
Well, that was as my debut as Queen of the Night in Munich, and I had a huge crown, and a very heavy one with lots of shiny things on it, and I underneath there was a kind of a bath shower cap, and it looked really funny. The costume was huge, with huge train and beautiful, but this funny hat underneath, and then the big crown. And when they put it on, I asked them, well, don't you want to fix this? I said, no, we do this for 35 years now, this production, so you go on. And yeah, what I did, I had, they allowed me to open the dialogue a little bit. And in one dramatic moment, I turned around and said, was höre ich? What do I hear? Dung. So that was my crown. Pamina, that was Juliane Banz, she stood backwards to the audience. So I saw her face, her eyes went double size, and then she started to shake. and I thought, well, please, floor, open now. Well, shall I leave? So no, okay, good. I have to survive this.
Were you
Then
left with the shower cap just
Yes,
on your
I was
head?
with the shower cap, and I knew how horrible that looked, and I felt so embarrassed. And I said, "Okay, good, focus, just go on." And I finished the dialogue, and I started to sing. And there is an orchestra intermission, little orchestra music. And so I ran back and got my crown and put it on my head. So the power was back again. Mamma mia!
Matthew, has anything like that ever happened to you?
Yeah, a couple little things. Even here this season, one thing when I came into Romeo and Juliet in the at the end of the run, I had the last two performances, and there was no stage rehearsal. And in fact, I've been sick through the whole rehearsal period. So what was 9 hours or 12 hours of rehearsal was reduced to like 4. So but they had brought my boots onto the stage during the bedroom scene. And in the first show they were there, and or they weren't there, but the second show they were. But I didn't realize it, so I ran off in my bare feet and left my boots sitting there for her to sing with her father coming into the room, and my boots sitting right there. And it's kind of scary.
About how the Lindemann Young Artist Program prepared you for the in-demand career you have today.
Well, I think it was probably one